Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there, and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m., and please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. And now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And Raycom Radios, reliable two-way radio communications for business. You see Raycom radios with police stations, with taxi cabs. You'll see them at the Emmy Awards, Academy Awards, and, of course, that wonderful race. I've got a great guest. Ed, have you ever heard of the race that the police officers do from Baker to Vegas? Have you ever heard of that race, Ed?
Yeah.
My sponsor, Raycom, they're the radio communications. I guess it's a 90-mile race, and these guys were the antennas for Nextel, and they got antennas all. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm learning a lot about radios. I talk a lot about the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and one of the things that we do in the Coast Guard Auxiliary, the civilian volunteers, we augment the active duty and reserve Coast Guard. And then we do public safety and patrols and a lot of boater education. Those are the things that we do at the auxiliary. You'll see us at all the marinas. One of the things we augment the Coast Guard is with what's called watch standard. And you have to be trained. It's the same training as the active duty. And you'll stand watch. But there's so many different kinds of communication systems when people, from Morse code to a mirror to radio communications, mobile phones don't work out at sea. So we have some of our members that are trained, in communications, and they're at the base. So, of course, all the Coast Guard base. There's going to be a new base, I understand, with the Navy. Well, let me introduce you. So I got a fantastic guest, Ed Worley. Last time you were on, we talked all about America's Cup. I didn't watch the America's Cup this last year in Barcelona. I feel kind of guilty. I've been a big fan of the America's Cup my whole life, as you are. But let's introduce you, because you are the Encyclopedia Worley of America's Cup.
Yeah, I'm an amateur historian for the Cup since 1983. I've been involved with it, and I was involved in 1987 America's Cup out of the Newport Harbor Yacht Club with the Eagle Challenge as a volunteer. So I've just been bitten by the America's Cup bug, and I love the history of it.
Wow, that is exciting. Of course, everybody knows about Dennis Conner and all of what. I knew one of the cooks when they used to train in Newport Beach and some of the places, and I took some classes, and one of the gentlemen, when they used to train, when the crew would get together, his wife and the son was a rower, and the wife was a sailor. And I met one of the guys, and it was very interesting about cooking for people that race, because you don't really have a kitchen. You have to, prepare everything so it's in a small area with take them out one by one in little baggies, and you got to keep people fed. You got to keep people feeling healthy. It's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't think about. So on
the America's Cup yachts, on the modern ones, there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing down below. There's no accommodations.
Really?
So because there's basically stripped out holes. So you would have, we would make the breakfast and everything else, and then you would stop, and we'd have lunch tied up to the tender out there, and then so that's that's the way it is, because you need a lot of protein, you need a lot of stuff, because you're out grinding. In the old days, we're out grinding and working a lot on the boats. So
it's a different story these days.
Sport.
Yeah, it's an interesting sport, but it's the boat wasn't the Oracle. How expensive was that Oracle boat though in the previous World Cup?
Yeah, Oracle. We talking about the trimaran?
Yes, the trimaran.
Oh my God! I don't think anybody knows how much Larry Ellison spent on the trimaran. Rumors are that he spent close to $300 million.
My goodness.
On the Cup. And so, that's a challenge with the Cup nowadays, is it's so incredibly expensive. The new AC-75s are foiling boats. And they're amazing technology, don't get me wrong, but the cost is just immense. You have all the stuff that you have to build. You have to build the foils, and you have to build the foiling arms and the hydraulics and the electronics. And nowadays, the crews are getting smaller and smaller. Basically, the crew members are sitting in cockpits, strapped in cockpits, punching buttons, because all the sail handling has become much more automated.
God, my goodness.
There's no spinnakers, huh?
My producer just waved at me and corrected me. I think I said World Cup. I meant America's Cup. Good catch.
Cup, yeah.
I said World Cup, but no, that is fascinating, because I think what we should do, we should change the America's Cup. What we should do is everybody should be given a supply in a yard, the wood and the fiberglass, and they start and they have to build the boat. And I think there should be no electronics at all. They should have a compass. Yep. What a difference between the turn of the century and as the America's Cup. Well, let's go into the history, because the America's Cup, am I correct to say that this is the oldest, the longest running, international competition of any sport?
Yes, it is longest continuous competition. But the America's Cup is unique because the America's Cup is guided by what's called the deed of gift.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, the deed of gift is, in essence, when after the Yacht America won the Cup from the British, and the British, we won the Cup in just a regular regatta off of Isle of Wight from the Royal Yacht Squadron. And the crew of the America brought the Cup back to the New York Yacht Club, and they didn't know what to do with it for a while. So finally, they deeded it back to the club as a perpetual trophy for friendly competition between nations. So when you read the deed of gift, it says that the Cup shall always be offered as a challenge cup, and no one owns the Cup. So if New Zealand decided not to defend the Cup and a challenger challenge, they would have to relinquish the Cup. So It's not like the Indianapolis 500. It's not like anything else. And a lot of people, especially people who sort of comment on the Cup, they forget what the Cup is about. The Cup is, in essence, a challenge cup between two yacht clubs, not corporations, not even sailing teams. So the deed of gift specifies how the races shall be run and things happen. So
that is interesting, because Larry Ellison in the previous Cup with the Trimaran, he had to join a yacht club, and there was a little confusion on which yacht club. And there's a whole story behind that I've heard. Do you know what went on behind him joining the yacht club in order to?
Well, up in San Francisco, there's the Great St. Francis Yacht Club, which I've been to, and Larry Ellison wanted to challenge for the Cup when the Swiss were holding the Cup. And I think there was some internal stuff going on. St. Francis is a fantastic club, and they had challenged for the Cup numerous times after we lost it in '83. And I guess Larry couldn't come to an agreement with the yacht club, and so he challenged out of the San Francisco Yacht Club. So, the Golden Gate Yacht Club. And then so he challenged with that, and he won the Cup and the Trimaran, brought it back to San Francisco. And then he was able to defend it up there, and I was there during the races when they defended the Cup. And then the spirit of the Cup, and I'll use that phrase, the spirit of the Cup is the defending yacht club is supposed to defend the Cup in its home waters.
Oh, interesting.
That's sort of the spirit of the Cup. So, unfortunately, because of the enormous cost of running the Cup in San Francisco, the Oracle group with the Golden Gate Yacht Club decided to defend the Cup in Bermuda, and we lost the Cup to the Kiwis. So now the Kiwis have the Cup, and now we have to go get it back. So the current American challenger is the New York Yacht Club with American Magic, and they did a very good job. They didn't get all the way to the end. In this last Cup, the British challenger won the right to challenge. So that's even changed over the years because the basis of the deed of gift, it's one yacht club versus another. And I think it was in 1970 that the New York Yacht Club allowed the challengers to figure out who was going to challenge for the cup and sail among themselves. And it used to be called the Louis Vuitton Cup. And they would sail against themselves, and whoever won that regatta would then sail against the defender. So things have evolved over the years, but the cup is still in essence. If the challenging club and the holder of the cup if they don't agree, then they have to go to what the deed of gift says, and those are called dog matches, deed of gift challenges, because basically the deed of gift outlines the course of the races and how the races shall be run, and then it's wide open. If you remember back in 1988, after Dennis had won the cup in Australia, he came back. And they were going to have an America's Cup, I think, in 1990 or 91 in San Diego. And the New Zealanders read the deed, and they challenged Dennis, the San Diego Yacht Club, to a race. And it went to court, a lot of court proceedings. So they had to defend the cup in 1988. The New Zealanders brought a huge monohull sloop, and Dennis decided to defend the cup in a wing-sailed catamaran. And there's a lot of controversy over that. He won the cup, and then the cup was defended in 92 and 95. And we lost the cup in 95 to the New Zealanders. So there's a lot of history, a lot of intrigue, a lot of games, a lot of politics. And it's always fascinating to read the history of the cup, because even when you go back in history, Sir Thomas Lipton of Lipton Tea fame challenged for the cup 5 times and never won the cup.
Oh, so, interesting. They call that the Lipton era of the cup, right? I've heard that.
Yes. All of his boats were named Shamrock, and back in those days, it was more Corinthian. There wasn't a lot of professional sailors. So in today's world, they're trying to transition to making the cup a professional sport, and which I don't agree with. I think the cup should be raced in more of a Corinthian spirit.
I think so too. I would like to see that. It's I remember reading an article as a young kid way back about the Lipton era, where it was a staggering cost of $1 million. I guess 1900s. But of course now I can't even, just what I understand, the legal fees. They've got a team of lawyers that are battling where the sale is made and how it goes on. And then you hear leading up to the cup. Well, this last cup, let's talk about this last cup that I missed.
Right. That
was Barcelona, right? The 37th cup. Am I right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Well, part of it is that what it goes on today is that somebody will challenge the holder of the cup, and they become what's called the challenger of record, or COR, C-O-R. The challenger of record and the defending yacht club will negotiate with each other, and they will write which usually is what's termed the protocol. And the protocol can vary from the deed of gift, because the deed of gift says the challenger and defender shall race under mutual conditions that they agree upon. And over the years, that changed the class of boats from like the real old universal rule when you had the Reliance, which was a huge sloop designed by Herreshoff, and then they started racing the J boats, the big giant sloops. And then after that, because of cost, after 1937 and the war, the next cup race was raced in 1958 in 12 meters. And that's what I raced on, were 12 meters. And the 12 meters were about 65 feet long sloops. And that was raced, the cup was raced in 12 meters from 1958 to 1987. So then after that, there was the International America's Cup class, which was designed. And about 100 of those yachts were built. And then, so It's varied all over the place. The new yachts are extremely high tech. They're amazing technology. They're computer controlled, and you sit buried in a cockpit, peeking over the coaming, and you're racing at high speeds. But the courses are so short that you don't have a lot of time. It's basically it's a product for TV, in my opinion.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not like it used to be, and people say, well, you're just an old fuddy-duddy and you have to get with the new stuff. But the challenge is that I want the if you want to use the old-fashioned term, the yachtsman, to be racing the yacht, to be putting up the spinnakers, to be trimming the sails by hand. Yes, you can have some computer instrumentation to help you, but nowadays, when they tack the boats, the computer alters the foil configuration and changes the camber of the sail automatically.
Oh, interesting.
And then, so it gets to a point to where, now they're talking about, currently there's basically 4 crewmen, 2 starboard and 2 on the port, and then they have 4 not even grinder, they have cyclers, they call them. Basically, you have guys on pedaling bicycles to generate hydraulic power. Well, now they're talking about taking the cyclers off the boats and putting batteries on the boats.
Oh, my goodness.
So now you're going to have 2 guys, basically, it's like F1 racing. It's like car racing. And I've told people, my opinion is, if I wanted to watch car racing, I'd watch car racing.
Well, yeah.
I want to watch yacht racing.
They're foiling boats. They're a combination of cars and airplanes.
Well, the funny thing is that foiling boats are amazing. They're amazing technology. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was an aerospace engineering major, and I love the technology. But at some point, if the more technology you put between the human and the operation of the yacht, pretty soon you're not sailing anymore. You're just operating the boat. You're operating the technology. So, they're amazing boats. They really are. It's a huge cost of the boats. Because it's not only you have to design the sails, you have to design the foils. Now, the boats are not one design, but the Kiwis have created a design package that they will sell you to start as a point of departure. Well, that goes directly in the face of the deed of gift. The deed of gift said the yacht shall be designed and built in the country of origin. Well, when you give everybody the same package, and then you're buying off-the-shelf components from the Kiwis, and you're buying hydraulics from the Kiwis, and then at the last race, the software package that you use to sail the yacht on the race course was designed and sold to you by the Kiwis.
Oh, interesting.
So that's sort of what's going on with the Cup. I prefer they go back into super high-tech sloops and go back to sailing. I missed the time when the boats would be going around the marks and you'd sort of hold your breath while they put up the spinnaker.
Right.
To make sure they did it right, And then, they're jibing downwind and you have a chance to cover. Nowadays, they're going so fast and the course is so short. It's like it's watching race cars race. Once one of the other yachts gets in front of it, they basically, all they do is block you from trying to get around them.
Right.
Like in the old days, but
it is interesting about the Kiwis because I remember that the decade-long run of New Zealand, was held in New Zealand, and we would watch some of these races. I'd be at a different yacht club every time, and they'd say, "Okay, everybody, we're going to watch the Kiwis race the Kiwis."
Well, see, that's the other thing too, is that the spirit of the Cup is, and I'll use the air quotes, spirit of the Cup is, that the yacht is to be designed and built in the country of origin, and the crew is to be from that yacht club in that country. Well, over the years, it's sort of morphed because of the protocols that have been written, and a lot of the sailors for a lot of the different syndicates or a lot of different Cup groups come from all kinds of different countries, and they're all professional sailors. They're very gifted. They're very great people. I've met a lot of them, and they're great people. But the industry of the America's Cups turned into basically you're a professional sailor. You're being hired by another organization. I mean, I guess I'm an old fuddy-duddy because I remember when they had if you were racing on the American boat, you had to be an American.
Right. I like that. And, I guess I'm a fuddy-duddy too. I would like to see the America's Cup be monohulls. I'd like to see sailors on there, less equipment. I'd like to see it inspire people to watch and get into sailing. Yes. Even as a sailor, and I'm by no means a champion. A lot of my friends are, but I look at the America's Cup, and boy, this is it's like watching something on another planet. We have a replica of the Oracle boat. I think it's owned by the Disney family. It's a 30-foot version of not the fiberglass, the carbon fiber, and it was sitting there in the marina, and it's for sale. I think it's $25. It's a replica of the Oracle boat. Well, what's the next? The next America's Cup will be when and where?
Well, that's what's going on right now. Nobody knows when it's going to be next. They're talking about 2027.
Okay.
And what's going on is the last Cup, the British Challenger, for the first time in 60 years, raced for the Cup. The last time the British had raced for the Cup was 1964. So the British group did a great job from the Royal Yacht Squadron in being the challenger and raced to the Kiwis and lost. Now, what's going on is everybody's shuffling the deck chairs, trying to figure out how they're going to pay for the next Cup races, and the British team is split apart. Their sponsor and donor was Sir James Ratcliffe, a billionaire from Great Britain. Well, he's pulled out now, and he's talking about having an independent challenge. So there might be two British challengers, but we don't know. So the thing that's holding things up is New Zealand, being the holder of the Cup, has to have a challenger of record. Well, the Royal Yacht Squadron is technically the challenger of record, but Ben Ainsley, who's a fantastic sailor, Olympic sailor, he is sort of the head of the British challenge, but they have had a big split with Sir James Ratcliffe, who is all the money. So now there's this debate about, okay, well, all the technology they built and all the intellectual property from the British challenge, who gets that? Is it Sir James Ratcliffe, or is it the Athena Group, which is Sir Ben Ainsley's yachting organization? Because they're the challenger of record. So if they drop out, then somebody else can be another yacht could be the challenger of record. Well, they can't figure out when the next Cup races are going to be because the challenger of record and the defender are supposed to sit down and write the new protocol. What boats are we going to use? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? What time is it going to be?
That is shocking. Well, Ed, this flew by so quick. We're already out of time. I feel like we just scratched the surface on this. And there's so many questions I had for you. I got to invite you back and follow up and do a part 2 of this because we've just barely started on this. This has been fascinating because I'm a sailing fan. I like watching. I'll be watching the 28 Olympics. Of course, that's a whole different ball game with the 2-man cruise. They also
be down Long Beach. It should be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it should be great. You're going to be windsurfing and small boats. Well, this is great having you back on, Ed. I got to invite you back, and I don't want to wait this long because we just started talking about this. I got a whole list of questions I didn't get to, so I want to do a part 2 in the very near future with you, Ed.
That sounds great.
Thanks for coming on, and thanks for talking about it, because I think a lot of people are just as confused as I am, but it is an exciting event, and boy, what an expensive event.
Okay.
All right, Ed, thanks so much. Well, that's all the time I have for you today, and we're going to follow up with the part 2 of the America's Cup. Thanks for joining us today, and let's not forget the Coasties, protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. Here at the Boating Hour with Captain Rick, we cover everything that sails, motors, and floats from San Diego to Santa Barbara. Thanks to our sponsors for the show today for Healthy Gut, Livia One Probiotics, and Raycom Radios, reliable two-way radios throughout Southern California. Coming up next week, we've got some exciting stuff and announcements and all kinds of stuff coming up. So join us every Saturday at 4 p.m. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy and fair winds to all.